future auditors. Yesterday, I received a call from one of my students and she said me, ma'am, I'm preparing for CA Inter and the preparation is going well, but I am facing a problem in dealing with particularly audit subject. I asked her really quickly that what is the issue? What happened? She said me, ma'am, I'm unable to understand and figure out that how much portion I have dealt with and how much portion is remaining yet, and I'm feeling a bit underconfident for this particular subject. And as soon as I heard to her problem, I said, Beta, you're not alone. Many of the students face the same problem with this particular subject because they miss the strategic move for dealing with this subject. And we all know the result. You got to see the failure because of this particular subject because you cannot score just 40 marks even. So today you are going to get the top 3 advices for this particular subject, after which audit will not be problem for you anymore, and you will just you can just go for aiming exemption in this particular subject. Number 1 top advice: start correlating with topics. Okay, everyone knows that audit is a very vast subject, so I always say it in my class that, guys, wherever you get to see the topic one more time. Okay, for example, sufficient or appropriate audit evidence. Okay, we hear to this particular word many a times throughout the audit. Okay, but what happens is every time we see that specific word, we make new sentences, we frame new answers, and because of that, it we really feel like quite burdened that we have to remember this particular word in different contexts. But if you will connect this specific word, the number of times it appeared, just give the quick page number references, just give the specific references of that topic from where it actually appeared. For example, SAAE is a term which actually is the concept of chapter number 4. Okay, so whenever you get this word in other chapters, just give the reference of chapter number 4 and you will notice that your concept is actually cleared. Okay, that will give you the way for conceptual clarity, and you will feel less burden that yes, you are going good with this subject, and yes, it is easy to understand now. Okay, that was the first. Second is, guys, start writing practice. You can only clear audit subject after 50% efforts you give for study and 50% efforts you give for your writing practice. Okay, so that is really important, and people actually miss this out. Last and number third, use only one material. Do not go haphazard way of learning, and just you will pick up one booklet at one time and you will pick up the second booklet at the second time. So this is not going to work out. Just use one simple book. It may be ICI module, it may be your coaching institute module, and the best book I will recommend you is my summary notes. These summary notes are exactly what you need to focus for clearing out audit, because these summary notes include all the information and data in the most precise way. And the best thing you can do is you can relate this book with ICI module. You can just go through the module once and you can just check out this summary notes, that everything is mentioned in this summary notes. Wherever required, it is in the table format. Wherever required, it is in the paragraph format, so that students learning become most and most easier. Okay, you can find these summary notes at my app Peak Prep, and you can download that app from Play Store. Okay, so here are the top 3 advices, and I'm sure that this will help you really well to make your journey smooth. Okay, now if you are new to my channel, just go and hit the subscribe button, because not only audit, but I'll give the most important and valuable tips which will, make you and which will help you throughout your CA journey. Okay, now let's continue with today's lecture, which is audit evidence, the most important chapter of the whole CA inter auditing and assurance, because it carries maximum marks from 12 to 18 percentage. And we are on the topic appropriateness of sampling approaches. Okay, so if you haven't seen the earlier part of this particular chapter, just go quickly and watch out from the beginning, because my aim is to give you the maximum conceptual clarity, because it will make you easier. Okay, you will feel a bit more confident if your concepts are clear. So that is my whole aim. Okay, so so far we have dealt with a lot of topics. Okay, and right now we are on essay 530. Okay, right now we are on essay 530, and 530 is nothing but audit sampling. Okay, now appropriate of sampling approaches, that means there are two types of approaches we have discussed so far. The one is statistical sampling and the second is non-statistical sampling. Statistical sampling is something where we use the probability factor, right? We do not pick the sample size from the population randomly. We use some or the other kind of probability theory, and then we apply the audit procedures to that particular selected sample size. And non-statistical sampling is something where we use our professional judgment and we pick up the data. Okay, so that is the basic meaning which we have already discussed in our earlier class. So again, what we are going to discuss here is what are the advantages and disadvantages of these particular approaches. Okay, now here again quickly what it is mentioned over here. Yeah. Sample results are measurable for adequacy and reliability of audit objectives. Sample sizes based on auditor's judgment result cannot be precisely measured, right? Because these are based on some of the probability factors. What is the difference? These results are measurable, okay, because we have used some of the core. Okay, we have used something, based on a probability theory. Okay, and that's why it is said that statistical sampling, the results are measurable, and here the results are not measurable. That is the basic again difference which we can figure out. Okay, then what are the advantages over here? If we are going to pick the sample size from a particular theory, okay, from a particular thing, then what happens is sample size does not increase proportionally with the population size. Of course, like for example, let's say invoices, okay, sales invoices, there are 1000 invoices in one company, there are 10,000 invoices in another company, but we are theory. Okay, we are using the same probability theory for both the companies. So here what happens is the sample size which we pick is, it does not increase proportionally with the population size. For example, according to the our theory, we will be picking up 50 samples from here. We will be applying the same theory to this company, and from here also we will be picking the same 50 samples. Okay, so that is the thing, that the sample size do not increase with the population size. Okay, again objectivity, of course this is more objective. Okay, if we are going for statistical sampling, we are not using any kind of judgments. Okay, so there is less chances of biasness. Okay, what happens is less chances of biasness is there, and therefore it is said that the selection is more objective and defensible. Okay, now risk based estimation. Now you tell me, what is the thing that this will affect the risk, how it will affect the risk based estimation? Will it be more riskier or will it be less riskier? You tell me. If we are going for some kind of a fixed particular thing, then we will make sure that the risk is minimum, okay, as compared to non-statistical sampling. So enables estimation of minimum sample size based on risk and precision. Okay, according to the risk area and zone, we can pick up the sample size, and we will make sure that we will reduce the risk to an acceptably low level. Then calculated risk and precision provides measurable sampling error, that is expected variation from testing sample versus full population. Now what does this particular sentence mean? See, already we have studied over here that sampling results are measurable. Okay, then if they are measurable, then the error is also measurable, right? Whatever results we were expecting, okay, expected results and actual results, the difference between the both is what? The difference between the both is measurable, right? So we can say that it provides measurable sampling error, expected variation from testing sample versus full population. Now the next is lower non-sampling errors. Now what does this mean? May result in fewer processing clerical errors than full population testing. Obviously, if we are going for a fixed kind of sample size, then it will happen that it will lower down the non-sampling errors or clerical errors, we can say. Okay, then scientifically reliable, more scientific, less bias, and results can be reliably projected to the population. See, ultimately what we want is, what is the purpose of doing the sampling? Ultimately we want to give our opinion. Never forget that. In the beginning I always said you that hello future auditors. Now that greeting is for a specific reason, that I want you to understand that, just assume that you are the auditor while studying audit, and you will never forget that you being an auditor, you just want to give your sign on the financial statements, and you will make sure that you are giving a reasonable assurance. Now for giving the reasonable assurance, you have to pick up few audit procedures, right? And for few audit procedures, it includes one of the procedure is sampling. And that sampling, what you are studying right now, you are studying statistical sampling. Okay, so in this way you will be applying the audit procedures, and ultimately you will be giving a reasonable assurance on the financial statements of the company. Okay, then when sampling may be appropriate, see, there may be few situations in the company, or there may be few situations where the statistical sampling will not set down. Okay, it may be inappropriate to use statistical sampling in those appropriate areas. Okay, when will that happen? Okay, just figure these points. Okay, need for exact accuracy. Okay, not suitable where precise accuracy is required. Example, legal compliance. Absolutely, we are working in bulk while doing the statistical approach. Just from 10,000 vouchers, we are selecting 50 samples, and we will be giving conclusion on these. And we will be giving conclusion that whole population is free from errors. Okay, but few situations where the accuracy matters at the most, there we cannot apply sampling. Okay, so whenever there is need for exact accuracy, it is not suitable where precise accuracy is required. Okay, simpler alternatives exist. Avoid when other methods provide sufficient information with less time and effort. Obviously, if we have in our mind, as I said, that audit procedures include many things. Okay, and sampling is just a part of applying for audit procedures. And we do have other procedures such as reperformance, recalculations, right, observation, inquiry. Okay, so when we can get a sufficient appropriate audit evidence while applying those methods, then we don't need to apply this particular method. Simple. Okay, then The next is lack of expertise. Okay, when audit staff lacks knowledge of statistical sampling techniques. Okay, whoever the interns are or whoever the audit staff is, they are less knowledgeable for performing the statistical sampling, then you should not go for this specific method, right? Then, okay, that's it with this particular topic. I hope that you have got all the points. Okay, first of all, what we have did is, see, there are two approaches: statistical approach and non-statistical approach. Statistical approach, the results are measurable, whereas non-statistical approach, the results are not precisely measurable. The advantages is what? The advantages are sample size efficiency, objectivity, risk-based estimation, calculated risk, lower non-sampling error, and scientifically reliable. And there are three situations where statistical sampling is not used. The first is need for exact accuracy. The second is simpler alternatives exist, and the third is lack of expertise. Let's move on next. The next topic is sampling process. What is the overall sampling process? Let's study this in detail. So that's a hierarchy. Okay. Whenever you choose to perform the audit procedures by using the sampling thing, then what is the overall procedure that you are going to look for? The very first is sample design. Okay, what kind of characteristics is there of the population? Like what what kind of sample is there? Is it accounts receivable, is it accounts payable, or is it expenses, or is it sales, or is it what exactly it is there? Then what is the sample size? Okay, first, sample design. What exactly is the sample? What are the characteristics of that particular sample? Second, what is the size of the sample? Are there 10,000 entries or there are 1,000 entries? What is the size of that sample? Then the next is sample selection. In what way we are going to select the sample? Here comes like, in what way you are going to select? You are going to select like statistical sampling, non-statistical sampling, or what? Okay, how you are going to do the sample selection? Okay, then the next is, you are going to perform the audit procedures, and then you are going to come to the conclusion, right? You are going to perform the audit procedures, and after that we will figure out if there are any deviation, right? How you are going to come to the conclusion? You are going to figure out that what were the actual results you were expecting, and what are the actual results you got after applying the audit procedures. The difference between the both is the deviation. Okay, now if you found any kind of deviation, what is the nature and what is the cause of that particular deviation, so that you can understand what kind of opinion you need to give, what are the disclosures being an auditor you need to give. Okay, you is it that that the deviation is really high, so you cannot apply further audit procedures and you need to give a modified opinion, or the deviation is less and you can apply further audit procedures and just settle down things. Okay, so in this way there is a process, whole process, and after that last is like projecting and evaluating results of audit. Okay, after applying the audit procedures, you are going to check out whether there are any deviations, what projection that deviation will give. Okay, and what are the results, what are the evaluating results of the audit. Okay, so this is the whole sampling process, and don't worry guys, we are going to study this sampling process in every minute detail. Okay, you just need to remember the hierarchy, and that is enough logical, right? Okay, if you are going to work out first, what you're going to check, you're going to check the design. Okay, what kind of what characteristics do the population have? Then you are going to pick up the size. What size? Are there many transactions or there are fewer transactions? Okay, then you are going to pick up the sample, you are going to apply the techniques. Okay, then you are going to apply the audit procedures, and then you are going to look for the deviations, and then you are going to check out what kind of projection it do have, and last you will evaluate the results of audit. Okay, for documentation and for giving the opinion. So very first thing, sample design, size and selection of items for testing. Okay, what is it? Overall requirement. Consider purpose of audit procedures and population characteristics. As I said, in design, very first important is population's characteristics. Okay. Sample size must reduce the sampling risk to an acceptably lower level. It ensure representative sample where each unit has a chance of selection. Absolutely right? Whatever sample size we are picking up, that sample size should be representative of the whole population. Okay, so in this way, the sample should be there. First of all, what is that? That it should consider the purpose of audit procedure. Now, for your better understanding, what will be the purpose of audit procedure? Why we are, checking that audit procedures we need to apply? Because we need to check that whether are there any significant risk, whether there is something, risk present in the company or in the financial statements that should be brought down to an acceptably low level so that we can give a fair opinion. Okay, so accordingly you should check the purpose of audit procedures, whether there is any significant risk or whether there is any control deviation, what exactly we are applying for audit procedures, and then check the population characteristics. Then sample size should be such that it should bring the risk to an acceptable low level, and the third is ensure that whatever sample we pick up, it should be the representative of the whole population. Then the next is sample design aspect. So the purpose based design is define specific audit objective, select the best combination of procedures to achieve it, understand type of evidence, possible misstatements or deviation. Understood? Purpose based design. Again, we are repeating the points with different language, but the meaning and the concept remains the same. Right? We should pick up the design in such a way that we are bringing the risk to an acceptably low level. All our audit objectives are satisfied. So, what it is mentioned over here, that define specific audit objective. Okay, then select best combination of procedures to achieve it. What achieve? To achieve the objective. Okay, select best combination of audit procedures. What does this mean? That again, what are the type of audit procedures? Inquiry, okay, observation, reperformance, recalculation, and so on. Okay, so we need to check out that whether we need to pick up a combination or only one thing is, or one type of audit procedure is enough. Okay, then after applying the audit procedure, understand what kind of evidence have we received, possible misstatement and deviation. The nature of audit evidence help define what is considered error and select the correct population. SA 500 compliance. Again, SA 500. We have studied this SA 500 in the very initial wala part of the chapter. So here again, give reference. SA 500 is nothing but audit evidence. SA is SA 500. So here compliance is what? Ensure population is complete before sampling. Clearly define what is relevant for evaluation of misstatement. Obviously, if we are putting up audit procedures on something, we will ensure that the population is complete. If there is a turnover of 10 lakh, we will ensure that all the invoices which are there, they will give the round figure of 10 lakh. Okay, we'll ensure that the population is complete. Then clearly define what is relevant for evaluation of misstatement. Okay, then why the misstatement is happening, we should clearly define that. Then I have given a simple example so that you can understand this. Okay, what does it say is that account receivable payment after confirmation date is not a misstatement. Obviously, that's an adjustment. Okay, if the payment entry is done after the 31st March, okay, let's say, because our financial year is from April to March, okay, in that case, it's not a misstatement. Okay, then wrong customer posting. For example, you have to post under the name of X, you have posted under the name of Y, but the population will be same, like but the entry, but the round figure will be same, just the customer name have been changed. So here we need to figure out that did that happen by mistake or there might be fraud. Okay, because like the customer name is changed over here. Same thing, wrong customer posting doesn't affect total, not a misstatement, but may impact fraud risk or provision for doubtful debts. Yeah. Now, population characteristics, what kind of population we are selecting, and I always said you population selection is based on two factors. One is test of controls and the second one is test of details. Okay, test of controls is nothing but the internal control factor, and test of details is nothing but assertion factor. Okay, now test of control, what they have given over here, assess expected rate of deviation based on assess expected rate of deviation based on understanding of or sampling, small sample. And what if deviation misstatement is high? Avoid testing if expected deviation is unexpectedly high. So, if the deviation is very, very big, okay, if the deviation is very, very big such that the risk, the overall risk is unacceptable, okay, so shall we to perform the audit procedures of testing? No, because even after applying, the risk cannot be lower down to the acceptably low level, then we should not perform. Okay, then the test of details, assess expected misstatement population, perform 100% testing or use a larger sample. Okay, again, test of controls, assess expected rate of deviation based on understanding or small sample, because we are talking about internal control over here. Okay, and here we are talking about financials. Assertion level we are talking about. Okay, assertion level is nothing but what? Presentation, disclosure, balances. Right? So, assess expected misstatement in population and perform 100% testing or use a larger sample. Okay, then the next is stratification versus value weighted average method. Okay, stratification and value weighted selection is nothing but, first I'm going to give you the basic meaning of both the things. Stratification is nothing but, let's say there is a coaching institute. Okay, there is a coaching institute and you are doing the audit of this coaching institute. Okay, now here there are three categories. Okay, one, the fees is charged above 50,000, the fees is between 20 to 50,000 and below 50,000, below 20,000, sorry. Okay, stratification is nothing but you divide the whole population into different stratas. Okay, here the whole turnover is 1 crore. Let's say the coaching institute's whole turnover is 1 crore, but how does 1 crore fit from these students? Okay, and the fees charged from these students is divided in these categories. It may be 11 standard students, it may be 12 standard students, it may be, CA foundation, something like that. Let's take a basic simple example. Okay, here what we are doing is we are dividing the population into these stratas and then we will be picking out the samples based on these stratas. Okay, we will be picking out above 50,000 category fees students and we will be checking and we will be applying the audit procedure on only this specific category. Now, what is meant by value weighted selection? That we will be picking up a fixed figure. We will be picking up a fixed figure. Let's say 5,000. Okay, let's say 5,000. Let's say 50,000. We will be picking up a fixed figure, and among all the invoices, when the invoices is having a value of 5,000, we will be picking up that invoices and we'll be checking the invoice. We will be picking up only 50,000 value invoice and we'll be checking that invoice. That is nothing but value weighted selection. Strata is simply dividing the population into stratas. Okay, and value weighted selection is just picking up a particular value. Okay, now with this understanding, basic understanding, let's move ahead. What they have mentioned over here. Again, definition: dividing population subcategories based on similar characteristics, selecting individual monetary units to reduce purpose is what? To reduce the variability between groups and improve audit efficiency, to focus audit effort on high value items which pose higher misstatement risk. Now here I have taken the example 50,000. Let's say they will take the example of 10 lakh, 5 lakh maybe. Okay, so here these invoices pose higher risk, though they are being very specific. Okay, efficiency: help reduce sample size without increasing sample risk, leads to smaller sample size by giving large items higher selection chances. Then common basis: monetary value, age of receivable, risk of misstatement. Here, every rupee one has equal chance of being selected. Larger balances are more likely to be picked. Absolutely. Used in test of details, valuation procedures, testing provisions, doubtful debts. It is used in again test of details, account receivable, inventory, revenue, etc. Sample result application. What is it? Sample result application is nothing but results from a stratum apply only to that stratum, most combined results from all strata to draw overall conclusion, and sample results can be projected over the population by evaluating selected monetary units. Projection method: each stratum is projected, misstatement is calculated separately, misstatement found are automatically weighted as per value, making it easier to project overall. Then audit focus: equal focus or custom focus based on risk per stratum. Focus automatically goes to larger items. Here we are talking always about larger items. Example: stratify receivable into 0 to 30 days, 31 to 90 days, 91 plus days. Randomly select rupee 10 units from 1 lakh receivable. Okay. Then selection method, normally followed by separate random or judgmental sampling in each stratum, often combined with random or systematic selection of monetary items. Essay guidance, covered under Essay 530 for increasing audit efficiency, covered under Essay 530 efficient for value based sampling. Here we are talking about value, so it will be covering up efficient for value based sampling. Okay, now here are all the points. Now here you need to understand that from the exam point of view. Okay, there are so many points given over here, but now how you can lower down your stress? The maximum mark question you will get from such kind of difference between is 5 marks, and for 5 marks they have given lot of data. Okay, there is too much of data. So what is the strategy you will be applying for such kind of questions? Be exam oriented and understand the concept really well. Okay, understand and learn the concept really well. But when it comes to the exam writing part, make sure you don't do the donkey work and make sure that you pick up the content whichever is easy for you. For example, the points here will be easier will be few for definition purpose wala point. Okay, then efficiency point, maybe example point, and maybe selection method point. Maximum go for 6 to 7 points for 5 marks question. 6 to 7 points. And your 5 marks are done. Okay. Now, by following this simple strategy, what happens is you feel less burdened, and the main thing is you will save a lot of time. Okay. Now, this is the strategy which you will be using in few questions. You should not skip the topic completely, but you should keep in mind that you are going exam oriented and you are going to pick up the points of your choice and you are going to learn. So today just pause this video and whatever understanding you have got from the video, just put a right mark. Just put a tick mark whatever points you have learned and whatever points you will be using for your exam. Just tick mark those 7 points and you are done. From next time, leave the remaining 2 points. Do not waste your time on that specific points, and you just get to know these 7 points. You will receive, you will, get full marks in your exam. These are the techniques these are the strategies which you should know. And that's why I keep giving new strategies in every lecture of mine, which you can even share with your friends. Okay, now coming to the next, sample size. Okay, what is it, sample size again? Now understand, where were we? So far we have done only this much. We have learned about what? Wait a second. We have learned about what? We have learned about sample design so far, guys. Okay. Sampling process. First point we have covered, and now we are moving next to the next point, which is sample size. So in sample design, again, a quick recap. What are the things that we learned? We learned approaches. Okay, we learned sample design aspect. We learned the population characteristics. Then we learned what? Stratification and value weighted selection. Okay. Now the next point we are moving on for is sample size. Auditor must determine a sample size that reduces sampling risk to an acceptably low level. Yes, ma'am. Now we have got this point straight, very clear. Key insight: lower sampling risk equals to higher sampling size. Sample size depends on risk tolerable level and assurance level. Obviously, if the tolerance level is high, what kind of sample you are going to pick? If the tolerance level is high, we are going to pick up the smaller size. Okay. If the deviation expected is really high, then we will be picking up the higher sample risk. If the materiality is really high, then we will be picking up the higher sample size. It again depends on the type of tolerance level, it depends on the risk, it depends on the assurance level. Okay, so wherever there is lower sampling risk equals to higher sample size. Okay, then the next is, can be done using statistical formulas or professional judgment. See again, statistical sampling or non-statistical sampling. Both approaches consider similar influencing factors. Now, factors influencing sample size. There are two factors, test of controls and test of details. Now we are going to learn about test of controls. Again, test of control is nothing but what? Now by this time, I think everyone got test of control is nothing but we are applying the audit procedures on checking the internal control, guys. Okay, and increased reliance on operating effectiveness of control. Okay, then what will be the impact on sample size? Sample size will tend to increase, because if we are placing more reliance on specific internal control, we need to test more, right? If a matter is most important, let's understand a simple thing. If something is really important, okay, there we are going to invest more time. There we are going to do a lot of checking, right? In the same way, here, if we are placing more reliance, then we need to perform more procedures and we need to perform more sample size. We need to pick up more sample size. So that's why sample size increases if we are placing more reliance. Increased tolerable rate of deviation, again, already discussed. If the expected tolerance rate is higher, then we can decrease. If we can tolerate something, that means that is not important. That is not important. And something where it is not important, we can decrease the sample size. That increased expected rate of deviation. As I said, if the expected rate of deviation is increased, then we have to increase the sample size to bring the audit risk to an acceptably low level. Then increase the level of assurance desired. If we are going to give a more accurate, assurance, then we need to increase the sample size. Okay, then large population size, little to no effect. Okay, because no matter the sample, the population size is high or the population size is low, okay, there is no impact on the sample size. Okay, and if the population is really low, then we do not need to pick up the sample size only. We will be checking the whole population thoroughly. For example, if there are only 10 vouchers or let's say 10 entries, then we will not be picking up samples. No, we will be checking it throughout. Okay, so in this way. Okay, so you just got to see the reasons over here, but the concept should be highly clear. Okay, as I discussed, you can just note it down, these arrows. Okay, for your better understanding, you just note it down in your book also. Then factors influencing the sample size. Now till now we have discussed test of controls. Now we are going to discuss test of details. Test of details is nothing but what? Assertion level. Then higher assessed risk of material misstatement. If higher risk, we need to increase the sample size. Same concept, guys. Increased use of other substantive procedures. If you are applying other substantive procedures, then decrease the sample size. Okay, we are not doing here sampling more. Okay, we are going to perform the other procedures as well on that particular item, then decrease. Okay, higher desired level of assurance. If you are going to higher level of assurance, you have to increase the sample size. Higher tolerable statement. If tolerance level is high, decrease the sample size. These points are again same as above. Okay, you can super connect over here. This was the point I was saying. Okay, increased, yeah, here. These both points are same concepts. Same concepts are there over here. Okay. Then the next is what? Again, see, if you are going to interconnect these, the vast portion which the proportion which you are feeling really vast is, it will cut down slowly. Okay, so that's why just put the arrow marks that they are the same points. Then the next is greater population. If the misstatement is expected higher, then increase the sample size. Simple. Use of stratification. We are using the stratification over here. There will be decrease in sample size. Again, large population size, small population size, same you have to put up. Okay, same thing. Again, just correlate here. Just correlate here. So these points will be cut down because you have already studied this concept. The last point here is increase in total monetary value. Okay, if there is increase in total monetary value, that is there is more value of that particular population, then you need to increase the sample size, right? If there is higher value items, then you increase the sample size accordingly. Okay, so I think this is it for this particular video. Otherwise, I don't want you to feel a bit tensed. Okay, whatever the things we have discussed today, just reread it once again. Just make your own summary notes or just use these summary notes, and also write down all the question and answers based on this particular topic just after just pausing this particular lecture. Okay, solve the question and answers for 10 minutes and your this topic will be done. Okay, that's it for the lecture. See you till the next lecture. Bye bye.